little peek at this clip if we can, real quick before we get to. Well, we'll bring Joe in. Come on in, Joe. There
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
How are you?
Good.
Great to see you.
Yeah, you know what, man? It's awesome to see you. I always enjoy seeing you, but I hate I'm seeing all my rock and roll friends and heroes, but not in person, man. It's
I know. I'm dying for a gig. Let's do a gig.
Oh man, yeah. I've been.
Tell me the next time you're playing.
Well, someone hires me as an opener, and then I'll hire you as my opener, and then.
Oh, okay.
You know, we'll as long as we're playing, it doesn't matter where we are in the bill, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
And of course, you and your brother have always been so nice to me over the years, and probably, one of the greatest honors ever was to be able to play more cowbell to Don't Fear the Reaper on stage with you guys in your band. There you go.
Have to have a cowbell.
Yeah, and your band Blue Coupe with your.
That was a fun gig, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in Asbury Park.
Asbury Park, House of Independence.
Yeah, and that's you and your brother playing drums, Albert, and of course Dennis Dunaway from the original Alice Cooper band on bass.
Rock royalty right there.
Hey man, I tell you that I had to go back and watch the sketch again because it caught me off guard when Dennis was like, "Do you want to come up and play cowbell?" I was like, I froze up because I'm like, I'm on, and I wanted to go out and watch you play, and I'm so nervous. I'm like, I gotta do Will Ferrell out there now, and so I'm backstage rehearsing to play cowbell.
Rehearsing your part.
Yeah.
You don't want to screw it up.
But for people who don't know, Joe and his brother Albert and Dennis have a band called Blue Coupe, which is a play obviously on Blue Oyster Cult and Alice Cooper, but it's spelled Coupe.
Remember the Coupe.
Yeah. And they play all your favorites from both those bands. That's my favorite picture right there.
I love that picture.
Yeah. So, and they play all your favorite Blue Oyster Cult and Alice Cooper songs. But most importantly, Joe, for people who don't know, not only do you have a new solo album out, I think this is your 5th or 6th, but Strange Legends is out right now.
Yes.
So tell us about the making.
It's all blurry.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the screen. Tell us about the making of this album, Joe.
It was great fun. And it took a couple of years, about 2 years to do, Yeah. And it's getting a great response. Actually, one of my singles is number 10 in Holland this week.
You're like
Can't beat that.
You're like David Hasselhoff of Holland.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God.
You never know where you're going to be huge, Joe, in this day and age.
You never know.
Of digital media.
It's doing well all over the world, in Germany and Australia and Japan and Brazil. It's doing great.
That's cool.
Great you go analyze the charts and say, "Whoa, they're actually playing this somewhere." So that's it's quite cool. Very cool.
Of course, man, and especially in the digital age now, where everybody has access to the music. I'm gonna check the comedy charts over there. If my album is charting over there, Joe, we'll go play stadiums together over there.
I'd love it. I would love it.
That would be killer. And I understand. People know you obviously most familiarly as the bass player from Blue Oyster Cult, but you do everything on this album, include playing the bass, and I understand, I could be wrong, but I think you use the Burning for You bass on this album, which is very exciting.
Yes. It's right over there somewhere. And, great bass. Always sounds great.
After all these years, Joe. Yeah.
It's still great. Change the strings once every decade. But it sounds good.
You got to keep that road grime on there, man. That's what gives it character. Yes,
to get the funk. Got to get the funk in there too somehow.
Absolutely. We showed a clip from the She's a Legend video earlier, but you also did a video for the song African Queen, which obviously you took from the Old Bogey, from watching the Old Bogey film.
Yes.
And it would be interesting. I'm glad you're watching that. It would be a much different song if you were like watching an adult film.
Yes. Like Dr. Love.
Yeah, right.
famous adult film, Dr. Love. No, African Queen. It was just it was calling my name. I saw that movie, and it was just so much. It was easy to write because the whole story was right there, and the concept was there, and that's doing very well too. That's also on the charts in Holland. That's like 55. So one's coming up, maybe going down. The other one's coming up. You never know.
Yeah, well, you know, now that you have time on your hands, you could release as many singles and videos for this album as you want. A lot of bands are doing that.
All the shots, except for our manager.
Yeah.
You know, we have the same manager.
Oh, that's right, we do. That's right, Mr. Jeff Keller.
Yes, doing a great job.
Oh, good.
Before I signed the deal, I should have called you. I said, "Hey, is this guy on this level?" No, he's doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, I would
have get you in the top 10. He really should.
He's really done great things for me, and I've recommended a few people to him. We have a good family over there with Jeff.
Yeah.
Doro Pesh and Nashville Pussy and Anvil and you and me and I think he had
Vinny and Carmine.
Yeah.
They're all great.
Yeah, well, good. It's good. It's good. Obviously, it's good to have your team around you. It's good to have new product out. But I did want to jump back to BOC for a minute because the passing of the producer Martin Birch. People know from Iron Maiden famously, and of course Deep Purple. But Martin produced a couple BOC albums. Can you talk about your experience with him?
That sound of "Burning for You" wouldn't have been the same with any other producer. And he was also a bass player. A lot of people don't know that. He was a bass player. He said, "Oh, you should try my bass." And I never did.
Yeah.
But he made my bass sound darn good. He was, and fun guy. This is the most laid back producer, but he got the results, He got that sound, and I've never had a guy that was so in tune with the mixer. It was like an extension of his brain, that mixer, and I miss him.
Yeah. It makes sense, Joe, that he's a bass guy because I mean, if you look at obviously Iron Maiden, Steve Harris is the band leader there, and Roger Glover, the band leader in Deep Purple.
Geezer never had a better sound than Heaven and Hell.
True.
What great records that Martin did. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, do you know this band Ghost?
Yes. I've heard of that.
The Papa Demetrius, the Pope of heavy metal singing. Those their harmonies sound somewhat reminiscent of another band that you might know.
I've heard that. It's not a complete. It's not like Greta Van Fleet sounding like Zeppelin.
Yeah.
It's not quite that intense, but I heard them. I kind of like them. I have some friends in Sweden, and I helped them do a song that is about Ghost, about the band Ghost. Yeah, it's and about Blue Oyster Cult and about Ghost. And
cool.
Yeah, it'll be coming out in a little while.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see that. That'll be funny. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with wearing your influences on your sleeve, but it's just such a, their visual is kind of semi-satanic and, it's got that vibe to it, but yet when you listen, you go, well, but the music's a little more Blue Oyster Cult and...
it's little Beach Boys.
A little bit, yeah, but Who do you think is there a band that you heard was influenced by BOC that you went, wow, I don't hear that at all?
Oh, I don't know.
Because for me, it would be Ghost. I mean, because it's
Ghost,
the visual and the music are so different.
Pretty close, yeah. It's pretty close. I mean, where they're coming from melodically, and they're like, they're dark. Mm-hmm. I think the darkness is maybe what they see in what we do, but also they have great melodies and harmonies too. So, that's what I like.
Yeah, of course. Even with the bands that are super heavy, you still want to have some kind of melody and something that you can kind of hum along to, even if it's a thrash song or a death metal song. There's got to be some kind of melody line. And of course, in your career, Reaper, obviously, just being a song that literally everybody on earth could.
That was a miracle. That song. That was a miracle. We didn't have a real hit until that came around, and I knew that it was going to be, it had the potential to be a hit, but I had no idea that it would become this like decades and decades classic, song for the ages. I guess it's been in 75 movies and television shows and video games. It's just like crazy. You look it up and it's like, wow.
And then, of course, this famous sketch that we have the clip of course, SNL, reignited it once again.
A whole generation that never knew us because of that one skit. Yeah. So, put some Blue Oyster Cult comedy into your set.
Well, I do. There it is.
It's hard to find funny stuff, but they manage, Well,
I do. I do a whole set when I go out and open for bands, and you only joke about the bands you love, so I can definitely work up some material. But it's hard to top Christopher Walken and Will Ferrell in terms of the comedy here.
I have to. My character is Horatio Sands. Now, I was heavy for a while, but I was never that heavy.
Well, comedy's exaggeration, Joe.
I know. I get it.
Hey, besides Reaper, though, and this is a question from the biggest BOC fan that I know, is Brian Slagle, who owns Metal Blade Records.
Yeah.
So
hello, Brian.
He said, other than Reaper, what was it about that Agents of Fortune album that really made it such a classic for you guys?
It was just good. The biggest thing, we got to record at the record plant, and because we had done the other studios, Columbia Records, which was very good, but there was something magic about the record plant because that's where Jimi Hendrix recorded. That's where John Lennon recorded. Mm-hmm. Amazing stuff. So we would sit out in the lounge watching John Lennon's video machine. Nobody had a video machine, but John Lennon had one. Mm. And then he had his Mellotron right there with all the sound effects from the White Album. You could just go over there and play it,
So there was a vibe to the place that also added to the music.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing Godzilla at night, and we shared the studio with Aerosmith during the day. Mm. So they would be doing Walk This Way in the afternoon, and then we'd come in for the night shift and be doing Godzilla. It was amazing.
Well, when you came in the next day, was there a lot of mysterious white powder all over the instruments?
I'm not telling. It was pretty crazy, but that was the late 70s. Late 70s.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Back in the day when you were allowed to get away with that kind of stuff. And also I think at that time you had brought in Alan Lanier to play keyboards, and maybe that helped fill out the sound a little and give it maybe a little more polished edge to some of the stuff.
Alan was with us from the beginning.
Okay.
But we were open to anything, sound wise. And that was a great one for Alan. And we're all really creative on that Agents of Fortune album. You know, This Ain't the Summer of Love and True Confessions and ETI. And then we had the whole second side was a whole sort of like New York City subway trip, you know.
Yeah.
It was a lot of good stuff. Patti Smith makes an appearance on the album.
Yeah.
In the Revenge of Vera Gemini. So that was the creative team behind that record, and it was just like, you know, we were firing on all cylinders,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Well, I would highly suggest if people haven't listened to that album recently, especially the second side, because that's the only New York City subway ride you're going to want to take these days is on the Blue Oyster Cult album. You don't want to go down there now. Not during coronavirus. I don't suggest it.
Well, you can find a parking space now, you know?
Yeah.
That's help, you know.
Yeah, you can park right in front of the building now.
Get a seat on the subway. There's a lot of advantages to a deadly pandemic.
Yeah, but the disadvantage, Joe, is that you don't get to go out and do what you do best, which is play live. And you know, I'm always, every time I see you is when you're playing live music. So can't wait for that to hopefully come back again. And you and I are gonna do Holland together. I'm gonna work that out. We'll get Keller on that.
Do it. Keller, get him.
Hey, any memories? Because this was a tour that I was too young at the time to see, and for the longest time, because we didn't have social media or YouTube or any of that, it was almost like an urban myth that it had happened, but it was a real tour, which was the Black and Blue tour, Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult. What's your memories of that tour?
It was huge. It was the biggest tour of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran together.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. That's not right.
Well, I know what you mean.
You wanted to rock. Yeah. You wanted a loud rock and roll show with lots of fireworks and great tunes, and Ronnie Dio was singing with Sabbath.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, I go way back with Ronnie. I knew him when I was in high school. And, I've watched his whole career. He was with Rainbow, and then he ends up in Black Sabbath. How was that? So it was great. Stadiums, arenas, packed houses, riots. We had it all.
And you guys flip-flopped, I guess, depending on what city, who headlines?
Yeah. It would be, a lot of times we said to them, we want to go on first and they can close the show. But it was epic. It was really epic, and yeah.
Oh God.
Lots of fun and loud. It was the loudest tour that I've ever been on.
Wait, listen. I'm not sure. I don't want to. I'm not happy getting older, but boy, I do wish I was just a few years older, only to have been able to see that tour. Because I'm sure it was amazing. And of course, Metallica did a cover of one of your songs, "Astronomy." What'd you think about that?
Changed my life. Like total 360, 180. I'm at. Total 180. I was working at a publishing company. It was a nice job, but it was a little boring. But I learned about the book business. I learned to write books and other things like that. But then I heard over this thing, the new thing called the internet, that Metallica was going to cover a Blue Oyster Cult song. So I said, okay, it's probably one of the usual songs.
Yeah.
Then I found out it was Astronomy. So I quit my day job. I'm going back to being a songwriter because there's nothing like getting a cover of your song. You're lucky to get a cover of your song. And it was a big pat on the back. And from that moment forward, I went back into songwriting. I started writing with Ian Hunter from Out the Hoople.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me out and gave me sort of gave me songwriting lessons when I was with Neil and Dennis. We were doing our thing at Neil's house. Neil Smith from Alice Cooper.
Of course.
And Dennis Dunaway. And then started putting out solo albums. So this is the 6th solo album.
Yeah.
Which is, they seem to get better every one I do. So that's a good sign.
Yeah. You're getting better with age, and we're just playing a little bit of the Metallica right now. If Metallica covers one of your songs, ask Diamond Head. It's big stuff, and it turned your career around 180. But don't worry, Jeff Keller will turn it around 360. That's our manager will make sure that you and I are only playing
we'll be back in the same place we started.
Hey, as long as we're still creating and we're still doing our thing, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, Joe, dude, thank you so much, man. Everybody pick up the new cassette from Joe Bouchard. It's called Strange Legend. And
it might be on 8-track, too.
Yeah, 8-track, and I love all the old formats. But visit joebouchard.com and pick that up today. And, dude, thank you so much for your time. Say hi to your brother Albert for me.
I will do that. This has been so much fun.
Yeah.
It's great seeing you,
You as well. And if you see Dennis, tell him I said hi.
Yeah, I will.
And I'll see you in Holland.
Okay. We'll rock. We'll rock the boat to Holland.
Have a good week. Bye, Joe.